There's a number that changes everything. Not $1 million, not financial independence, not retirement, just $3,000 a month, coming in whether you show up to work or not. And here's the thing nobody tells you about that number. It's not the money that changes, it's you. The moment you cross that threshold, the decisions you need to make about your money, your time, and your career become completely different from the ones you were making the day before. Most people who hit $3,000 a month in passive income just keep doing what they were doing. Same job, same pressure, same financial anxiety, and they leave the most important part of reaching that milestone completely untouched. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is the exact sequence of moves that separates people who reach $3,000 a month and get free from people who reach it and stay stuck anyway. Here's the assumption most people carry when they're working toward passive income. Once I hit the number, I'll figure out what to do with it. The income will solve the problem. But passive income doesn't solve problems, it creates options. And options are only valuable if you know which ones to take. Most people, when they finally hit that number, have spent so long in accumulation mode, in grind mode, in build mode, that they have no framework for what comes next. $3,000 a month is not the finish line. It is the starting gate for a completely different game. And the rules of that game are almost the opposite of the rules that got you here. So if you've hit this number or you're getting close, what you do in the next 6 months will matter more than everything you did in the last 3 years to get here. Step 1. Stop reinvesting everything. The instinct when passive income kicks in is to immediately compound it, pour it straight back into the machine. More properties, more index funds, more income-generating assets. And at certain stages of wealth building, that's exactly right. But at $3,000 a month, you've crossed a line where that instinct becomes a trap. Because what you actually need to do first, before you reinvest a single dollar, is understand what this income is doing to your tax situation, your asset allocation, and your overall financial structure. Reinvesting blindly from here is like driving faster without checking whether you're still on the right road. The speed is fine. The direction needs attention first. Step 2. Renegotiate your relationship with your job. This is the step almost nobody takes. When passive income hits $3,000 a month, your job stops being a necessity and starts being a choice. And the moment something becomes a choice, you can negotiate it differently. That doesn't mean quit. For most people at this stage, quitting would be premature. What it means is, you now have the psychological and financial leverage to ask for what you actually want. Fewer hours, remote flexibility, a different role, a project you've been waiting for permission to try. The people who waste this milestone are the ones who keep treating their job exactly the same as they did when they had no other income. $3,000 a month in passive income is the first time in most people's adult lives that they have real negotiating power with their time. Use it. Step 3. Build the ceiling, not just the floor. Here's the mistake that kills momentum at this stage. People treat $3,000 a month like a destination instead of a platform. They stop, they breathe, they feel like they've arrived. And then, 2 years later, inflation has quietly eroded 20% of that purchasing power. Their asset base hasn't grown, and $3,000 a month feels like it did when they started. Not enough. The right move at $3,000 a month is to treat it as the proof of concept, not the product. You've demonstrated that you can build income outside of your labor. Now you build the system that takes it to $5,000, $8,000, and eventually to the number where your portfolio generates more annually than your salary. That's the ceiling you're building toward. $3,000 just proved the construction method works. Here's what most people miss at this stage. And this is the part that actually makes the difference between someone who gets free and someone who just gets comfortable. The real shift that happens at $3,000 a month isn't financial, it's psychological. For the first time, maybe ever, you wake up and your first thought isn't whether your job is secure. It's not whether this month's bills are covered. It's something quieter. It's, what do I actually want to do today? That question sounds simple. It is one of the most disorienting questions a person raised on financial anxiety can ask themselves. Because we're not trained to answer it, we're trained to survive. And $3K a month in passive income is the first time the survival pressure eases enough that the real question, the one underneath all the work, finally gets a chance to surface. What you do with that question is what separates the people who build wealth from the people who just build income. So here's exactly what I want you to do if you're at this number or within 6 months of it. This week, sit down and write out what $3,000 a month actually covers in your current life, not what it should cover, what it does cover. That number tells you how much runway you actually have, and most people are surprised to find it's more than they thought. Then, before you reinvest a single dollar from that income, schedule one conversation with a fee-only financial planner, not a commission-based advisor, specifically about your tax exposure now that you have multiple income streams. The tax structure at this stage is genuinely different from what it was at zero passive income, and most people discover they've been optimizing the wrong things. And finally, write down the one thing at your job that you've been waiting to ask for but haven't because you felt like you couldn't afford to. You can afford to now. $3,000 a month in passive income is not freedom, not yet, but it is the first real evidence that you could get there. It is your financial life showing you, in numbers, that the relationship between your labor and your security is no longer one-to-one. That is a shift most people spend their entire careers never experiencing. Don't let it become just another number that feels like not enough, because what you do with it now, in the next 6 months, will determine whether it was a milestone or a ceiling. I'll see you in the next one.